With shouts of freedom and human rights for Uighurs, expatriate Uighurs staged an emotional rally in central Munich. Seizing a Chinese flag from a group of tourists, they tore it up and trampled on it. "We want our country back," says one sign. The violent events in Western China have brought these people out onto the street.
It's not about my relatives, it's about my people. They are all my family. All the little children are my children. All the older people are my parents.
The mood among Germany's Uyghur community is somber. This spokesman for an international Uyghur organization says he can hardly control his compatriots' rage and feeling of being powerless. But he understands their concerns.
They've been living in fear for 3 days, not knowing if something's happened to their parents, if their brothers or sisters have been killed in the demonstrations.
The demonstrations he's referring to involved hundreds of ethnic Uyghurs in Urumqi, the capital of the Chinese province of Xinjiang. The images broadcast by Chinese state-run television have been strictly censored. They only show Uyghur rioters and Han Chinese victims. Official sources have made vague references to a death toll of at least 150. But Uyghurs in exile think the real figure of Uyghur deaths could be 600 to 800. Here at the World Uyghur Congress's European headquarters, members of the organization scour the internet for independent picture sources.
Here you can see all these people being arrested.
The Chinese government has announced it will execute those responsible for the unrest. No one knows what the fate of the other prisoners will be.
You have to expect that half the detainees will die or never get out, at least half.
These uncensored pictures taken on a mobile phone lasted just 1 day on the internet. The Chinese authorities moved fast to cut connections to mobile phone networks and the web.
Even the electricity's being cut off, not just telephones. Nothing's functioning.
Uyghurs in Germany feel cut off from developments in their homeland, but now foreign journalists are reporting on events from Urumqi. That's changed since the mass protests in Tibet in 2008.
The criticism then was that when they immediately expelled foreign journalists from Lhasa and from Tibet, that just fed the speculations and rumors, because the journalists weren't able to report at all. This time they've chosen a different path. They've invited foreign journalists in, but they're complaining that, of course, the Chinese side is practically trying to sell them its interpretation of the events.
These young Chinese women have dropped into a Munich restaurant, not realizing that it's run by Uyghurs. If they knew, they might prefer not to come here. For years, official Chinese propaganda has branded the Uyghurs as potential troublemakers or even terrorists.
Uyghurs are, of course, Muslims, but we have no connections to Al-Qaeda or other international Islamist groups. The Chinese government is always trying to use that as an excuse for more repression.
In April 2008, the World Uyghur Congress held a meeting in Berlin, attended by the organization's president, Rabia Kadir. The activist and businesswoman who lives in the US is well known, but her media exposure has been nothing like that of, say, the Dalai Lama. The Uyghurs feel their situation is similar to that of Tibet. They say the centralist Chinese government is systematically destroying their culture. Uyghurs are obliged to change their names, their language is being suppressed, and they're restricted to low-status jobs. That's part of the reason these Uyghurs living in Germany have come here to protest.
At present, we have no Dalai Lama, but one day every one of us will be a Dalai Lama.
At least here in Munich, members of Germany's Uyghur community are taking the opportunity to make their cause known to a wider public.